O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down in the driver's seat and when I rise up through the gears. You discern my thoughts from a car. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're doing well, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this, either of you. I know there's only two of you that actually watch these things, but I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing not too bad, thank you. Another thoughts from a car, the ramblings of an idiot. And I think today, this will make me look slightly more of an idiot. It'll make me look a bit like a heartless pig. Which is not quite what I am, but you'll see as I go on. I'll explain why. Fairly recently, in the local news, there was a story of a lady who was 81 years old and living in a nursing home. She had no close family to speak of. That anybody knew of, nobody who visited her, nobody who called up about her or anything like that. And she died with effectively no family. And I'm sure she had distant relatives and stuff like that, but none that she knew of or anybody else knew of. So the danger was for the people in the nursing home that Peggy's funeral was going to be attended by nobody, well, maybe apart from a few members of staff from the nursing home. And so an appeal went out, and people from the community, from local schools, from local sporting clubs, from the surrounding residential area, and then so apparently there was a reasonably good attendance at Peggy's funeral. And it was depicted as a heartwarming story of community cohesiveness, or that sort of idea, that it was people rallying around Peggy who had no family. And to quote one of the people at the funeral, it was great to give Peggy a brilliant send-off, or something like that. Now, here's where I become the heartless pig. I don't think it was what they said it was. And I'm not saying that anybody had any bad motives, anybody was acting selfishly or anything like that, but I think, to my mind, it looked a lot like virtue signalling. And I'll explain why. In my previous life, I must have done, I'm guessing, 100 plus funerals. I've conducted 100 plus funerals. And in every one of those funerals, I never had a funeral like Peggy's, but in every one of those funerals that I conducted, it was geared around the family that were left. So it was a way of finding closure to somebody's death, about celebrating their life, and about encouraging others, inspiring others to be more like the person they had just lost, or in some cases less like the person they had just lost, but wouldn't talk too much about that. So every funeral is centered around the family, and it's for the benefit of the family. It's not for the benefit of the deceased person. And that's why I had a problem with people, not a problem, but why it sort of didn't sit comfortably with me, that people would turn up who didn't know this woman at all, maybe. Now, I'm sure some members of staff at the home turned up and they knew Peggy, and that was fine. But the majority of people there hadn't a clue who she was. Didn't know a thing about her. And I know, because I have been in the situation where I have turned up at a funeral for somebody I'd never met before. This is as an attendee, not as an officiant. But I always turned up to support the son or daughter or niece or nephew or whoever that I knew. So I was there to support them as they grieved the loss of their parent or aunt or uncle or whatever. So it's always been for the family, not for the deceased, because to be honest, the deceased knows very little, if nothing, about what's going on. So it's always about the family. Now, I could understand it if there was, say, Peggy had one niece, either who knew her or visited her, or the home were able to contact, and then she turned up. So if there was one member of family even to stop that one member of family sitting alone in a funeral home for the people coming along from the community, that would have been a lovely, lovely thing. But there wasn't any family members there, and Peggy was unaware of anything that was going on. And that's why I say, to me, it's a bit like virtue signalling, because they're not there for that, to support the member of Peggy's family who's there, because there are no members of Peggy's family there. So, and I understand the motivation, and I do get it, that they didn't want her to be on her own. But again, Peggy had no awareness of anything, so she's not going to feel on her own. But in their minds, maybe it felt like they were respecting her, even though they didn't know her. It's just it's a tough one in many ways. But as I say, funerals are for the living, not for the dead. It's a way of helping family and friends and acquaintances and stuff come to terms with the loss of somebody. It's not for that person who has died themselves. So, told you, heartless pig, that's what I am. Anyway, so by all means, support somebody you know who has lost a loved one, even if you never knew the loved one they lost. Do that. That's a good thing to do. And it's a tradition we have here in Ireland that you attend funerals. It's a way of a community showing support, but it's always the community showing support to the family who are left. That's the point I'm trying to make. So I hope you don't see me as too heartless or too cynical or anything like that. But anyway, have a nice day. Attend as many funerals as you can. Support those who've lost a loved one. And sure, I'll see you some other time. Okay, bye-bye.